Look at Menahot Daf Tet, continuing from Hayt Amud Bet, 6 lines from the bottom, Gufa, we said earlier. Rabbi Yochanan Shalom Shatan Nechal Kasher Neshlamim that was slaughtered Nechal Kasher Shnemar, Ushhato Petach or Moed. So from the fact that we can slaughter Nahatzer, we also can be Kasher in the Hechal. The Gemara says, answer, 1 second, question. Rabbi Yehuda ben Petra Omer, Minayin Shem Hekifu Avdei Kochavim Ta'azra. How do you know that if the Goyim are blocking the Azara, yani we can't do Korbanot in the Beshachim, Nachin Dechav, Achlin Koche Kachim, Yishem Menahot, the Goyim can't enter, how do you know that they could enter the Hechal? Because they can't do the Chatzir. The Pasuk says, Bekodesh HaKodeshim Tochalenu, even in the holy, yani the Hechal. Okay, if that's the case, V'hala Nikra, why you need Pasuk? Lima, we should just say B'chatzar al-Mo'ed Yochel. Pasuk already says that you can eat it in by the Hechal, by the Chatzar. V'lo yatafem in Aron. Therefore, if you eat it in the Chatzar, you could definitely eat it in the Hechal. Same logic. The Gemara says no. Avodah, that only applies that the Tafel to Ikar, secondary to the main, Chatzar to Hechal, only applies by the service. The Adam, Aved b'mkom rabo, because a person can work in front of his master. Amrinan shlo yeh tafel Muhammad Ikar. Therefore, if he could work in front of his master, he could work in somewhere else. Achila, regarding eating, it doesn't apply. When we are referring to eating, person does not generally eat in front of his master. The reason why you could eat there, because the Pasuk mentioned it, he's able to eat there. We can't say that you can automatically eat there because you're able to eat in the secondary place, because it's not nice to eat in front of God. Okay, that's why we need the Pasuk. Itmar, someone makes the flour of Menahot with oil outside the Hatzer. רבי יוחנן אמר פסלה בהכנסת פסול ויש לקיש אמר כשר שזה כשר. יש לקיש אמר כשר לא, יש שזה כשר, כתיב. ויסק עליה שמן ונתן עליה לבנה. Regarding Menachot, it says pour oil and put it on the לבנה. ועתה in the says והביאה בני אהרון הכהנים וקמת. You shall bring to the sons of the Kohanim and you shall bring the comets. מקמיצה ואילך מצד כהונה וסיף מרד the קמיצה and on is conspired for the Kohanim. לימד על יציקה בלילה ותשי the pouring in the oil, mixing the oil, which goes before Kimitza, Shekrim Zara, even a non-Kohen can do it. Means Yukunal by the fact they don't need a Kohen. Panim Nana by you don't need to be in the Hatzer. That's why he says if you do it outside, it's kasher. Kevin the Asset Abekli, since you're doing it inside the vessel of a Penamidash, Nihid the Kohen, even though you don't need a Kohen, Panim Mead by you still need to be inside the Hatzer. Or Stanek at the Rechan, bring a proof of Kohen, Belazar, Kshara. Non-Kohen mix it's kasher, Fouts the Hamad Hazrak, Paslav outside is Pasul. Eight my brother says Minhat Shahasra Kotem Kimitza Minha that became missing. Portion became missing before you did Kimitza. Yochanan Mar Mitoch Betov Meneno. Yochanan says you can bring new flour from his house and refill. Reshakish Mar Levi Taman Meneno. Reshakish you can't. Yochanan Mar maybe Taman Meneno. Why does Yochanan says you can replenish Kimitza by Kavale because Kimitza establishes it as Mincha, and therefore since it was no Kimitza done yet, he could still refill. Once it becomes nikli, it's kadosh. Therefore, it's already considered mincha, and you can't refill. Etfir b'Yochanan the Rishakish haser log and ad shelo yasak. If the log of oil became missing before the coin poured it to the hand of the second coin, you can refill. So we see that even though it was kadosh in the vessel from prior, you could still refill. Question and answer. Okay, one says kasha. Okay, itmar. Shiran shahasru ben kmitzah hadira. If the remaining part of the mincha became missing between the kmitzah and the burning of the comets, Yochanan maktir comets alen. Yochanan says you could still burn the comets. Rish Lakish mar ena maktir comets alen. Rish Lakish says you can't burn it. Ali b'der bilazer l'pligina. According to bilazer, everybody would hold that you can burn it because that we're going to see why that Bilazer hold that if everything's lost, you should burn it. So therefore, if it's not fully lost, you could still burn. It's not Mishnah says. The remaining became tameh, burnt or lost before you burnt it. Man tfasar Yeshua now. Rish Lakish says the pasul according to Yeshua. Man Maksha according to Yochanan says kasher. I can love Rabbi Yeshua Hatam, but because there Rabbi Yochanan says pasul only when there's nothing left. In case where there is leftover, after Rabbi Yeshua would agree that it is kasher. The most 10 says Yeshua says calls v'achim shebitra all korban of the Torah that you slaughtered in the meat and the halib was destroyed or tameh, shenishiyam hem kazayit basar or kazayit halib. There's at least a kazayit left of meat or halib, so rek dam you can still throw the blood. Kahati zayit kasar, kahati kazayit halib is like a half a kazayit of meat and a half a kazayit of halib, and it's rek dam you don't throw the blood. But Allah case Allah, why isn't Allah different? Because you're completely burning it. I feel like even if you have half enough, the reg dam you throw it because because you're burning the whole thing regardless. Therefore, they could combine. ومنخا in the case of a korban mincha, afa pisha kula cannot even if the whole thing is left over. Lo yizrok, you don't throw the blood. Mincha ma'av, why are you mentioning mincha over here? Talking about blood. Korbanot. The Gemara says, "Marba minchad nechasim." So in the case of labeshim minachot. So like you would have thought that since the labeshim mincha is brought with the korban, tika is therefore should be compared to the korban, and therefore it should also be thrown. It should also be done. Kamashman therefore says it's not good. Okay, we see from here that Yeshua would hold in his braita that as long as something is left over, you can continue. Seemingly, the Gemara says, "Mind pasal according to Shakish pasul." It's not a good proof. Why? Shani Achal here is different. Tamar Krab pasul is regarding mincha. Ve'erima kohen mina mincha et azkaratha ve'ktira mizbeach. Separate the mincha from the komets and burn it on the mizbeach. Mincha refers to the mincha. Ad te'ita lekula mincha le'atir. Until the whole thing is there, you don't burn. That's why if it's missing, you can't burn it. Okay. Ve'idach according to Yochanan, mina mincha, when it says mina mincha, mincha shayita kvar. You said as long as at one point you had a mincha that was complete, that's okay, even if it's no longer complete right now. Okay, if you have a question, if the bread broke before lecham panim was made pasul, halechem pasul be'en maktir alav bezechin. The bread is pasul, and lechem panim, and you cannot burn the spoons of levana of the bezechin for it. If the bread was already broke after it's removed, you could it's pasul, but you could burn the zechid, the levana. Lo perakam means actually broke. Ella kevin shegias man the perek al pishlo the perek before that. As long as the time has arrived, even if the time has not, even though you haven't done it yet, you haven't removed it yet, but as long as the time has arrived, that's okay. Now we see from here that came pasul after you removed it, and you were able to burn the levana. Question is the thing not apply by mincha. The Gemara says, "Amale hamani is according to the Lezer. According to the Lezer, this is kasher." Amale ana aminalach mishnah shana. I'm giving you a complete mishnah without any opinions. But after the after Lezer, you're bringing me that it's only a Lezer. You Lezer according to Lezer. My in France, why would only mention the case of breaking? I feel sort of any type of missing, burnt, lost, tameh, it would still be kasher. Why don't I mention that? The Gemara says ishtik. He was quiet. So we say, why was he quiet? You should have answered him. Sibur Shani, a community korban is different, like a lechem apanim. Because in general, if there's tuman in the community, it will become tahor. You're allowed to bring it. Ishrinami so too, all missing also becomes mutar. This teaches you that what? The fact that he didn't answer must be that you can't say that answer. Therefore, missing is not like tuma, it's missing like a person has a mum. The end ba'al mum is sibur, and you cannot bring a mum with the sibur. يصير الباب كمان لاش مطار الباب was business عمل العاب بس بعرف من الباب ميلو عصين اللي بياخد من الكيش من حتى عمر maybe some كيش بدأ عمر منها this is board because it's a community command obliging still not خلقت شو يصير يوشا كيش cannot also have answered regarding Sibur because even in this machloket there will still be a disagreement in the case of the Omer. Amar Malchio. Tana Ada Bambarta says Misolta. When I from the flour, Shem Hasra Koshu Pasla. If you're missing any flour, it's pasul. Misham Naha from its oil, teaches you Shem Hasra Koshu Pasul. If you're missing any oil, it's pasul. But then Idan says, I said, Mincha, left over from Mincha, Prat Mincha Shahsahi. It excludes the case of Mincha that became missing. Vishahas Kumsa or Kumsa, or it's missing part of the comments. If you didn't burn any levana. Today, now, why do you have to have two pasukim teaches you that if you're missing it, it's pasul? It must be that one pasuk teaching you that one mincha for it became missing before the kmitza. It must be after you did the kmitza, then it started missing. There it says, and we see both are pasul. We see it's a question again to Yochanan twice. It says, not a proof. One is for a case where the mincha became missing before kmitza. Only if he brought new flour becomes kasher. Then it's pasul. Right? It's not always pasul. He could fix it. One is after you did kmitza, then it became missing. In that case, The aftergod matir kumetz even if you burn the komets, otan shinem masrin achla, you still can't eat the leftover. They asked the question. The Real Mershinem has to ben lahen. According to the opinion that held that if the remainder became missing between the kimitza and the burning, Otan Shinem regarding the remainder of mine, can you eat them? Marziria, the Zahiri says that what? Amar Kra Pasuk says, the Hanatir leftover. Not leftover, the leftover. Therefore, only if it's complete, you can eat it. If it's not complete, you can't. Mina Mincha from the Mincha, Mincha Shetakvar, as long as it's 100 complete, even if it's no longer complete right now, it is still okay. Rachanam and